Hashtag how reality TV changed entertainment forever. Imagine a world where ordinary people became overnight celebrities, where unscripted moments drove billions in advertising revenue, and where the line between real life and performance completely dissolved. That world is the one we live in right now, and it didn't happen by accident. Reality television didn't just change what we watch, it fundamentally rewired how entertainment works, how fame is manufactured, and how audiences relate to the stories being told. This is the complete story of how reality TV changed entertainment forever. To understand the revolution, you have to go back further than most people realize. The roots of reality television stretch all the way to 1948, when a show called Candid Camera began catching ordinary people in awkward, unscripted situations. It was simple, it was cheap, and audiences absolutely loved it. But the format stayed relatively contained for decades. Game shows flirted with reality elements. Talk shows invited real people to share real stories. The building blocks were always there, quietly stacking up. Then came 1992, and everything shifted. MTV launched The Real World, placing 7 strangers in a house together and filming their lives. No script, no plot, no fictional stakes, just people being people under constant camera surveillance. The show was raw, occasionally messy, and completely unlike anything television had offered before. Producers discovered something extraordinary. Real conflict was more compelling than written conflict, because audiences understood on an instinctual level that what they were watching actually happened. The 1990s saw scattered experiments with the format, but the true explosion came at the turn of the millennium. In 2000, 2 shows premiered that would permanently alter the landscape. Survivor dropped 16 Americans on a remote island, forced them to compete for resources and alliances, and eliminated one person every week through a tribal vote. Big Brother placed contestants in a house under 24-hour surveillance, and let the public vote on who stayed and who went home. Both shows became massive cultural events almost instantly. Survivor's first season finale drew over 50 million viewers. 50 million people watching strangers eat bugs and stab each other in the back. That number tells you everything you need to know about what reality television tapped into. The appeal was something television executives had never fully accounted for before: vicarious experience combined with the illusion of authenticity. Viewers didn't just watch Survivor contestants struggle, they felt like they were participating in a genuine social experiment. The emotional investment was unlike anything scripted drama could manufacture, because the outcomes were genuinely uncertain. No writer's room was deciding who won. Real decisions were being made by real people, and that uncertainty was intoxicating. What followed was a gold rush. Networks scrambled to develop reality formats as fast as possible, and for one very practical reason: reality television was dramatically cheaper to produce than scripted content. A single episode of a prestige drama in the early 2000s might cost $2 to $3 million. A reality competition episode could be produced for a fraction of that cost, and often drew comparable, or even superior ratings. The economics were simply undeniable. Networks began replacing scripted programming slots with reality content, fundamentally changing what kinds of stories got greenlit, and what kinds of jobs existed in Hollywood. American Idol premiered in 2002 and introduced another dimension entirely: audience participation as a core mechanic. Viewers weren't just watching a competition, they were controlling it through their votes. This created unprecedented levels of engagement, and gave audiences genuine ownership over outcomes. At its peak, American Idol was generating over 100 million votes per episode. The show launched careers that are still thriving today, from Kelly Clarkson to Carrie Underwood to Jennifer Hudson. It proved that reality television wasn't just a ratings gimmick, it could function as an actual cultural institution. The mid-2000s brought a different kind of reality content to the forefront: the celebrity and lifestyle format. Shows like Keeping Up with the Kardashians, which premiered in 2007, didn't place ordinary people in competition. Instead, they offered extended, intimate access to wealthy and glamorous lives. The Kardashian show in particular became a masterclass in brand building through reality television. The family leveraged their screen presence into fashion lines, beauty empires, and social media dominance long before most brands understood the relationship between content and commerce. Keeping Up with the Kardashians ran for 20 seasons across 14 years. That is not a reality television show, That is a dynasty built on the foundation of the format. The impact on celebrity culture was seismic. Before reality television, fame was largely gate-kept by talent agencies, record labels, and film studios. You needed institutional support to reach a mass audience. Reality TV demolished that gate entirely. Suddenly, anyone with a compelling personality and enough exposure could become famous. This democratization of fame sounds liberating, and in some ways it was. But it also created an entirely new category of celebrity whose primary skill was being watchable, rather than being talented in any traditional sense. This shift rippled far beyond television. When YouTube launched in 2005 and later when Instagram and TikTok emerged, the content structures they supported were direct descendants of reality television logic. The vlog is essentially a one-person real world. The influencer is a one-person Kardashian operation. The reason social media stars feel so familiar to audiences is because reality TV spent decades training viewers to consume personal, unscripted content from relatable personalities. Social media didn't invent that appetite, reality television created it. The competitive reality format also transformed specific industries in ways that are still felt today. Food television was fundamentally revolutionized by shows like Hell's Kitchen and MasterChef, which made cooking a blood sport and turned chefs like Gordon Ramsay into global icons. Before reality TV, cooking shows were instructional and calm. After reality TV, they were dramatic, high-stakes, and personality-driven. The same transformation happened in fashion through Project Runway, in interior design through HGTV competitions, and in business through Shark Tank, which has facilitated over $100 million in investments and made household names out of entrepreneurs who otherwise would have operated entirely outside public awareness. The relationship between reality television and advertising also changed the economics of the entire industry. Product placement evolved from a subtle background practice into an overt, integrated element of reality storytelling. When a Survivor contestant wins a reward sponsored by a major corporation, or when a Kardashian casually mentions a brand during a confessional, the advertisement is woven directly into the narrative fabric. Audiences can't skip it, and because it comes from a trusted personality rather than a traditional commercial, its effectiveness is significantly higher. This integration model now dominates digital advertising strategy across every platform. Critics have long argued about what reality television costs us culturally. The legitimate concerns deserve honest examination. The genre has repeatedly exploited vulnerable people, placed individuals in psychologically damaging situations for entertainment value, and manufactured conflict that bleeds into real human relationships. Several contestants from high-profile reality shows have spoken publicly about experiencing significant mental health struggles after filming. The industry has slowly begun reckoning with its duty of care obligations, implementing aftercare programs and changing some practices, but the reform is ongoing and incomplete. There is also the complex question of editing. Despite the word reality in the genre's name, producers wield enormous power over what audiences actually see. Hours of footage get compressed into 42 minutes of airtime. Confessional interviews are filmed out of context and strategically placed. Music, pacing, and sequencing all guide emotional responses. The real, in reality television, is always partial, always curated, always serving a narrative purpose. This manipulation isn't necessarily malicious, but it does mean audiences have spent decades consuming something presented as authentic that is actually a sophisticated constructed product. And yet, even accounting for its flaws and contradictions, the influence of reality television on the broader entertainment ecosystem cannot be overstated. Streaming platforms, which now dominate how content is consumed globally, rely heavily on reality formats to drive subscriptions and engagement. Netflix's Love is Blind became a viral cultural moment that generated more social media conversation than most of its prestige scripted content. HBO Max, Amazon, Hulu, every major streaming player has invested significantly in unscripted programming because the audience engagement reality formats deliver is uniquely powerful.